Go. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome all here. Welcome all our brothers and sisters from the internet here with us. It's very nice to see the house full and see all your faces again for another Sunday. So we have the opportunity of being here and learn a little bit more today with our friend Denise. That's going to bring us a lecture about the laws of society and labor, which is very appropriate for May 1st. And but before, as always, we're going to start with our initial message and prayer by Catarina.
The message today is from Happy Life from Divaldo Pereira Franco by Joana de Angelis. And it talks about friendship. Be everyone's friend. Friendship is a treasure of the spirit to be shared with others. Like the sun, it radiates happiness to all who received it. There is an immense shortage of friends on earth. And this causes conflicts and suspicions, imbalance and insecurity. When friendship is lacking, man is at risk. Be the kind friend, even if for the time being you experience misunderstanding and difficulties. So let's close our eyes and connect with the title of the book, Happy Life. It's raining outside, but let's bring the sun inside today. And imagine the sun shining through all of us, touching our hearts and making our hearts smile. This way we share happiness among our friends here, who are also our family. And may the sun shine on Denise, who will give the speech for us today. And may all of us enjoy and share the happy feelings with one another. And so be it.
Thank you, Katarina. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here today. She told about the sun above us, but if you look my hair, you could say that it's raining outside. Because when it's raining, my hair go up like that. Today, it's a pleasure to be here. During a few weeks already, we have been talking about the divine laws. And today, I'll be bringing the laws of society and labor. Because only one law for me is not enough, right? So let's start. So just to bring this slide to remind us about all the divine laws. We have the law of worship, the law of labor, the law of reproduction, the law of preservation, the law of destruction, the law of society, the law of progress, the law of equality, the law of freedom, and the law of justice, love, and charity. The one that kept the last one is even more. That should be 3. So today we will be talking about the law of labor and the law of society. But all these divine laws, they're all related, right? Everything in our life is connected. And the law of labor and society, when I was thinking about this subject, I was like, yeah, all of them are related, but these two are even more, right? And so I decided to start with our emotional development. So when you think about God as creator and all the laws that he creates, everybody starts the same way, right? All of us start as tiny human little beings, very cute to our family, and most of us here had the privilege to be raised probably by a loving family that could take care of us, have the material source and everything. And that's what we're going to talk about. Sometimes, I think, even my generation, there was still a misconception in family that the most important thing that a parent could give to a child was the intellectual development. Very focused on education in an intellectual aspect. Like, if you want to grow up and work and have a good work and be someone in society, you need to develop your intellectual aspect. And research has been showing us for a few years that actually our emotional development it's even more important. And our intellectual development will not be the same without this emotional developing, being growing and being done strong and in a proper way. So it's very important for us, doesn't matter our age, to go back sometimes and visualize like how was my emotional development. Of course, life brings challenges, right? And sometimes we think that, oh, this is how life is and it's just the way it is. But sometimes we need to go back and think a little bit. If you really overcome that, or is there still something inside of you that you need to work on it? So when you think about emotional development, we think about like when our children, right? At first, we are completely defenseless and totally dependent on the parents for survival. Their mind is almost empty with only enough capacity to just survive with assistance. If you look in nature, we have other animals that when they're born, they already have the ability to walk and even looking for food by themselves. It's not our case. We born in a way that we are completely dependent on others. And I don't think that God chose this way by any chance. It's because there is this bond that we need to develop with the ones around us, right? So when we talk about emotional development, there is like, if you Google it, we have like so many different approaches to this emotional development. So I choose one that divides emotional development in 4 stages. I thought that was the easiest one and was the one most related to what we want to bring here. So the first stage is the codependence, 0 to 2 years old. In this stage, the child is still defensively and cannot even feed itself, right? And move around. Nature has provided a power force called bonding. The child will bond with his parents and vice versa. This bonding is extremely strong emotion where the babe needs to be with its mother and father or the caretaker looking after them. They cannot survive by themselves. They really need this support. And as the child gains mobility and comprehension of the environment, they are now capable of interacting with it and learning on their own. This is very desirable as a child learns very well on their own terms. Fatal hazards aside, some parents are overcaring and prevent their child from learning a basic truth. There are consequences for my actions. It's very hard as a parent of a little one not to be trying to babe-proof the whole house and trying to, instead of teach the kid how to, overcome the obstacles, we have a tendency just to clean up their way so they have an easy path to go through. But it's the first lesson as a parent. It's a really hard one. And we need to learn, like, to teach them actually to face the way how it is and trying to make them develop within themselves the ability of be able to overcome and see their obstacles and be able to go there. Like here in Canada, they use like a certain guideline for all the child development, right? So when you go, they will do, every time you go to the doctor, they do a lot of questions. And one of them, like I did for Theo a few weeks ago, was like, is he aware of, like, if he's in a busy street, is he aware of the cars? And I was like, I don't know, because I never let him be like too close. I always tell him, oh, don't go, don't do it. But I never trusted him to be like without my hand holding him in a busy street or something like that. And it's fun to see that it's a medical perspective. They expect the kid to be able to recognize it's a dangerous situation and not throw themselves into that busy street, right? And so it's the first stage, the codependence, where they're still completely dependent on their parents and their family members to provide for them and to make them able to recognize the dangers around them. And these dangers are not only physical dangers, right? We have babies with certain levels of sensitivity. Sometimes they even science recognizes this ability of kids to recognize adults with bad intentions. They did certain research with kids where they expose kids to adults what they consider with a good mindset behavior and with other adults with bad intentions. And the kids, even though the facial expression were not being recognized by another adult, the kids were able to recognize this difference. And most of them refuse to get close, to touch. And it's very important sometimes to validate this feeling in a kid, because we have a tendency to say, no, go there and kiss them. Do you know, sometimes the adult has a tendency to push. So sometimes you need to learn this also with them, right? The second stage they call as counter-dependence is the 2 to 4 years old. This stage is known in the Western world as the terrible twos. This is a stage of development where the child wants and needs to assert its ability to interact with its environment. That's when they start all his science project brain, you know. They want to really, doesn't matter if you say to them, this is dangerous. They want to find out by themselves. They need to go there and try to experiment things. Even the basic laws of physics, for example, gravity and everything. Research shows that babies sometimes, when they expose in a situation where these laws doesn't apply, they did this one that was very interesting, where they put like a table with certain things, and they put the table to drop. So all the kids expected the things to fall down, but the kids were attached with an invisible line, so the things remain at the same place. And the kids, like, even though they're just 2 years old, they don't know anything about the law of gravity or anything in an intellectual aspect, they were like, okay, this is not supposed to be happening. There's something. So they go like, they are very little scientists trying to discover the world around them. And in this counter-dependence, it's because they start to refute the no phase. They always say no. They start, and we used to do the same. Sometimes we think as adults we overcome that, but some people are still in certain stages, right? So in this second stage of our emotional development, they have this tendency to say no. Even though they want to say yes, they will go for no because they are trying to find themselves apart already, trying to discover by themselves. They need to experiment. And it's a very important stage. As the child is left to explore and learn, it develops its primary skills, interacting with objects, interact with other creatures, and importantly, what is constructive and destructive. This is where the first major barriers emerge. The child wants to do what it wants, but does not know what the outcome will be. Positive, neutral, or negative, the parent has a duty to protect the child from harm while allowing it to learn as much as it wants. A parent must also lead by example. So that's the moment that they are looking and they are learning every moment of their life. They are little sponges. They are looking at us here. Oh, that's what they are doing. They just sit there looking at mama talk. And there is one, I also do the child education. There is this little thing about the prayer. And the kid comes to ask, okay, but when I go to the Spiritist center, they are sleeping. What? Yeah, they're sleeping. They're there. There's someone talking, but all the rest is with closed eyes. They're sleeping there. No, we don't come to the Spiritist center to sleep. So we need to explain, right? But they have their own, sometimes they get to their own conclusions. And when they talk to us, where did it came from? This is not how it is. But he saw, he listens, everything. And they have a really good memory, right? When we get all these memory aspects getting lost. But for them now, everything you do will be there. Even more important, the things you do than the things you say. So they are led by example. Okay, the third aspect, the third phase is the independence. 4 to 7 years old. So we all work in teams, right? And in many cultures, reaching independence is considered the final stage of development. It is not. Please read on. By this stage, a child does not need their parents to do everything for them, as they have mobility and a functional mind. They have been healthy, correlated in functional behavior, as they learn to express themselves, learn their rights, and learn cause and effect. This stage involves the child learning to function on their own. So at the beginning, they know, but still by their sides. In this stage, they start to try with other people. They start to bond in relationship with their friends. That's when they start to select more. Like, I prefer to play with this friend than with that friend. Oh, I don't like when you do this, when you do that. And it's a very important stage that we already teach them how to recognize their own feelings. Even for us as adults, sometimes it's hard to recognize, like, I'm angry or I'm really upset. Sometimes we let our pride and prejudice blind us in a way that, oh, I'm angry because it's his fault. We always try to print a beauty painting where we are the victim and the other one is the one guilty for whatever we are feeling. But actually that feeling was inside of you, and that person just brought it up somehow. So this stage is a very important stage for them to start to recognize and verbalize. Sometimes you try to make them verbalize what they're feeling, why that they feel so bad about that, why not, and also the good feelings, right? Try to make them understand about empathy and other good feelings that are very important in our society. And then we go to the fourth and last stage. There is interdependence, the 7+ year old, where we all work in team, as very few of us, except those that live in a very basic existence, can create all that we need to live. We specialize our skills for a specific community need and hope there is a demand for it. Or we train where there is demand. A task needs many hands and skills to complete, either at the same time or one after another. So it's the time where they start to understand and try to find their own importance in the group that they live in, right? So as in the law society, when you think this aspect, this is one of the most important. And even the Spiritism, that's when they say, I thought interesting, when they say 7+ years old, with 7 years old, that's when the Spiritist books tell us that it's when the incarnation is considered as that spirit is completely reincarnated. That's when their characteristics will show up even more heavily, because that's when they are completely aware of who they are, in a way of that's what I want, that's what I don't, and they have the full faculties in their body, right? So it's the main thing where they will find their role in their social lives, and they start to contribute in a way, like they will feel the importance that they have to try to help others, to try to do a job that was delegated to them. So it's very important, even in a family aspect also, because sometimes they think, oh, they come with so many homework that is already stressful for them. So you should try to protect you, try to make it easy a little, try to avoid them of the domestic work, but it's really important if we could reinforce that actually with them. And then we grow up, we become teenagers, we make a lot of mistakes, and we need to keep studying and go into our work life, né? Sorry. I get nervous and speak very fast. So, okay. So for many years, right, the emotional development wasn't something seen as a priority. For most of us, the intellectual aspect was the most valuable thing our parents tried to give, and our professional future depended on this. And even though the idea that happiness is a combination of our professional life and our personal life is kind of recent, right? It's something from the last 2 centuries. Before that, work was something that you go there, you do it, and you come home, because you're not supposed to have pleasure or to have that happiness in your work. Work is work. You work, you go back home. And people, a lot of societies try to put the happiness moments and everything more related to their personal lives. And it's now that we grow up with another mindset, right? Everybody try to achieve this balance between work life and personal life, because it's so important to be happy on both. That's what we create. And sometimes, like, it's not only about being happy, it's about, like, you need to be successful in both. You need to be the CEO of the company, and you also need to be the most present parent. And even though the day has 24 hours and you need 48 to accomplish that, you need to find a way to do it, because true happiness depending on that. And we know when it's not. Each of us needs to find on themselves this balance. And sometimes it's, I can do my job, and of course, like, doesn't need to be like, oh, the happiest moment of my life is when I go to work. Doesn't need to be that. Sometimes you need to find this balance within you. You know, some people has this family aspect more strong. Some people find the happiness in the work life, and there is no problem. The most important thing is that either way, you are relating to others, you are contributing to others, and you are working and producing. You know, even someone that stays with family doesn't mean the lay of labor is there, or it's really there. It's really challenging to a stay-at-home mom or dad that stay all of day, like, with a kid. You try to develop the emotional aspects, the intellectual aspects. Oh no, not too much TV. I need to try to make them to explore. I need to do this and that. It's a very challenging thing as well. And all of this is part of our work. That's we doing our role in the law of work, right? So when we think about this balance between social life and work life, then I was thinking with myself, but everybody here has even another challenge between this balance. There is how to live as a spiritist nowadays. Because it's not only go and do your job anyway, or, oh, I find my happy, my family, but how to be this Christian, how to listen Jesus' words and put them in practice in my daily life. You know, we have these days, like, we have the gospel, we have so many good books out there, we have this information already. How can we bring this to reality? How can we bring this into our life to balance, right? Because sometimes we try to compartmentalize ourselves in a way that, oh, in my job I need to be very straightforward, I need to be very serious, I need to be this and that. And at home, no, but it's my kid, I just want to kiss him and hold him, even though I need also sometimes to be straightforward and try to explain things to them. But we need to find this way in a spiritist way, right? Because we are growing at the same time. When we are offering ourselves to others, we are also trying to grow and learn. And it's very important for us sometimes to think. So people say, oh, when you are doing something, try to think like, and if it was Jesus, what Jesus would do? I have no idea. He's too high for me. Sometimes I try to look somewhat a little bit above, or try to think what I consider that it would be the goodest thing that could happen in this situation. You know, what is the most the outcome that I could consider the most benevolent one. You know, sometimes that's with my own ideas. Sometimes you need to bring back to certain concepts and try to see the situation in a way where you can work and do your path in this way. And then, of course, when you think about the Spiritist nowadays, sometimes I was thinking how hard it is also about the way society is established certain priorities, right? We have a very materialist society that stimulates a lot about our visual aspects, our material needs, as like your happiness depends on your car. You need to work hard so you can have money to buy the car, and with that car you're going to achieve a better role in social life because everybody wants that car, you know. And at the end it's just piled up. As they say, like, you are working to pay the bills and you are making bills to try to feel good, and then you go back to this kind of circle. And what does the Spirit's book could help us about it, right? So the first thing that Kardec started to ask them was about the isolation, right? And in the question 767, they ask us, right, is absolute isolation contrary to the law of nature? And they say, yes. Since men instinctively seek society, and since all men are intended to help, follow the work of progress by aiding one another. So we know there's a lot of religions out there, and sometimes philosophy of life that try to simulate people to have like this life dedicated to God in a way where they're completely isolated, they're just praying and preaching to God, but they're not doing a work itself in a way to relate and bring some positive to others around them. And this is something that the Spiritists bring very clear to us. This is not the way, right? And on the question 768, they also ask, does man is seeking society only out to a personal feeling, or is there in this feeling a wider providential end? And they say, man must progress. He cannot do so alone, because as he does not possess all faculties, he needs the contact of other men. In isolation, he becomes brutified and isolated. No man possesses the complete range of faculties. Through social union, men complete one another, and thus mutually secure their well-being and progress. It is because they need each other's help that they have been formed for living in society and not in isolation. So there is no chance, like usual. We need to live in society because we have to learn with each other. Even, I think it's Eymael that says, like every day when you go to work, if you use public transport, you're going to be crossing hundreds of people, right? In TTC, in the bus, in GO train. It's hundreds of people passing by you. If for some reason you pass for someone and that person brings something like, I don't like it, that person is not a good person, it's because you have something to learn with that person. You know, normally we look as toddlers, right? They say that they are still not playing with each other until they are 4 years old. They are just hearing the mirror's neurons. They are just imitating one another. And when they grow up, this ability is still with us. We have this tendency to, when we see someone that has the same bad tendency as you do have, you have a tendency to say no. Because you are facing yourself in a way that you don't like, and you have a tendency to say, no, this is not a good person. I don't want to be close to this person because, oh, she brings something bad in me. This thing is already inside of you. That person is just like a mirror showing what you need to work on yourself. And it's so important that we could recognize in a more humble way and try to work ourselves to do that. And these also come with our judgment, right? We have this tendency to judge. Have that, people say that in 5 seconds you already did a certain judgment based only on the appearance of that person. And you need to see, like, you need to learn as a spiritist to go beyond that, to try see that behind the scenes that you don't see. Sometimes the spirituality work really hard to bring that lesson to you. Okay, this time he's just going to learn. Let's put this person there. They will learn with each other, and you just say, no, I don't want. I refuse to learn with this person. Okay, let's find someone else. But it's so important. There is this spiritist in Brazil, Sueli Calda Schubert. I was seeing one of her lectures, and she said a very interesting fact that happened to her. In the spiritist group that she works, they have 2 mediumistic groups, one on Tuesdays and the other one on Wednesdays. And there's this worker that used to go every Tuesday, and she had a problem with her work, and then she decided to go to the group of Wednesday. That was the group that Sueli worked. And then she was working there already for a year, and they did like a celebration, a Christmas celebration in the group. And when they were doing the celebration, this woman came to her and told, do you know that you were the reason that I went to the Wednesday group? And Sueli told, when she told that, in the first second, she was like, oh my gosh, she really likes me. See, she really likes, that's why she moved to Wednesday, because she really admires me. And in the second after, she told, and you know, because I went after you, because I didn't like you. I look at you, and I couldn't stand by you. I was kind of, and this feeling started to bother me. And I was like, okay, I need to overcome this. And as I cannot do on Tuesdays anymore, let's go to Wednesday. And Sally told that, she was like, okay. And now, are you okay with me? So now, okay, after she decided to overcome that bad feeling and start to see her daily basis, she start to understand her better and start to feel, okay, I'm good with you now. So it's so important sometimes for us to challenge ourselves, to be close to these persons and to learn with them. And sometimes if you're not ready to say anything good, don't say anything, because she didn't say anything in a year. She was working with her every Wednesday, and she didn't even notice that she was someone that didn't like her or something. So she was there to learn and really try to challenge herself, right? So it was very important for her this moment, and she grew a lot after that. She told that after that I noticed like how I was proud of myself, and she told, oh, I moved to Wednesday because of you. And then I realized, no, there's a lesson after that, and it's a good thing, right? And we also have the question 771, where they say, what is to be thought of those who renounce the world in order to devote themselves to the relief of the unfortunate? So this is a different question, right? Because this is not someone put themselves aside in an isolation. It's someone that starts to devote themselves to someone that they consider in need. And that's what they say. They raise themselves by their voluntary abasement. They have the double merit of placing themselves above material enjoyments and of doing good by fulfilling the law of labor. And those who seek in retirement the tranquility required for certain kinds of labor, those who live in retirement for such a motive are not selfish. They do not separate themselves from society, since their labors are for the general good. Right? And it's a very important thing that sometimes there is certain works that require a certain recluded aspect, right? If you see workers that work in a mine, like it's a small group, they need to live there for very isolated for a while, but they're still producing something to others. This is the difference between someone that goes in isolation, only trying to seek their enlightenment and not producing anything to anyone else. So when they bring this, they break the idea that it's not only about being alone, but being alone in a way that you're not producing any good to anyone except yourself. You think that you're doing something for yourself, right? And then we go to the law of labor. Is the necessity of labor a law of nature? That labor is a law of nature and is proved by the fact that it is a necessity, and that civilization obliges man to perform a greater amount of labor because it increases the sum of his needs and of his enjoyments. So the law of labor is something that the first thing about labor that I think is that we know that family normally is the neighbor that we need to love first, because they bring the most challenging things to us. But when you go to work, sometimes if you're in a very loving family, that's the first time that you're going really to face challenges regarding relationships, how to build that relationships in different, because in work you have you're going to have your boss, you're going to have the boss of your boss. So these kind of layers also create another challenge, right? How should I report to them? There is a whole social convention about it. So it's really important for us to think about labor as a law of nature that brings us also this society aspect to grow in a society. It's kind of a push. Okay, sometimes you're in a very comfort zone with your family. Go out there. You need to learn a little bit more, right? And in question 675, they say, ought we to understand by labor only occupations of a material nature? No. The spirit labors like the body. Every sort of useful occupation is a labor. And Kardec even asked about people that are already born with a very large amount of money, like they in a prosperous family, and they say they don't have the need to work to maintain their material needs. Is it a problem if they don't work? And he says yes, because there is, like, even though you don't need to work for a material purpose, you still should be doing something good. You still should be contributing to the society that you live. Sometimes could be a work for a family, sometimes that involves others, but you need to be doing this exchange, right? Open yourself and try to make something to others as well. The question 678, they say, in worlds more advanced than the earth, is man subjected to the same necessity of labor? And they respond, the nature of the labor is always relative to that of the wants it supplies. The less material are those wants, the less material is the labor. But you must not suppose that man, in those words, remains inactive and useless. Idleness would be a torture instead of a benefit. So, when you think about evolved spirits and that idea, I remember when I saw for the first tip a soap opera from Brazil called A Viagem. When they discarnate, they go to this very beautiful place with green grass, and everybody has this beautiful clothes, and they're just there walking and talking. We're like, oh, afterlife is like that. It's kind of boring. And that's when Kardec asked, they make it really clear. Actually, when you evolve, work will be something that you'll be a joyful part of your existence. So you'll be happy to be working. When we read so many Spiritist books that show most evolved spirit, even sometimes being so hard for them to come to a material world like Earth, they still come because they want to help. Sometimes they feel certain pain to be here, and they are here because they want to do the good. And this is a joyful aspect of their life, right? On question 682, they also ask, rest being a necessity after labor, it is not a law of nature? And they answer, undoubtedly it is. Rest serves to restore the bodily powers and is also necessary in order to give a little more freedom to the mind, enable it to raise itself above matter. So sometimes society these days, they try to create, be a workaholic is a good thing, right? Like if you see, it's a common, I'm a workaholic. People say it with pride. But sometimes to put yourself in a stimulant work path, where you don't have more time to yourself, you just go home to sleep and you need to go wake up early and go back to work again, you are going against this law of nature, because your body needs the time for yourself, and it is an aspect of your health, right? You need this time, not only about leisure, but the rest time, to make your brain go above it, to make you think above these deep questions that are inside ourselves. And sometimes I think that society stimulates this workaholic aspect because it's easier, like when someone doesn't have time to face their own problems because you're so busy or doing something. And sometimes when we stop and you see that you have deeper issues that you need to work on, it's kind of scary, you know? It's kind of, you are in a work, you feel like you are doing something important, you are being someone in there, and sometimes you look to your personal life and it's not quite in the same path of importance. So you prefer just to put that one aside and go to the one that you feel that you're, in this one I have the recognition that I'm looking for, and in my personal life I'm just another member of my family, you know? And it's very important that we need to find the balance between these two, right? So let me see, second. Yes. So, Jesus brought to us this powerful message where he says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." So as a Spiritist, I think this is the most important thing that we can do, is to let our light shine, you know. Sometimes it's not even by talking about Spiritism, but being a good listener to someone that needs someone to listen to them, you know. And when you see, when Jesus says that, it's like, because there is a difference, like I think, when he does an invitation and when he does a convocation. This is a convocation. He's stating, he's not asking if you are the light. He's saying, you are the light of the world. He's stating that we are. He's validating each one of us with his great, these words are like, even though if you're like self-esteem, you need to listen to these words and feel like you are the light. You are like him. He's saying, you are my brother, you are my sister. You need to shine, to let this light shine out there and make people feel like the way of, if you're feeling happy, try not to be happy just, oh, I'm happy. It's not only about you being happy, but make others happy. How in the law society and work can I do my role to make my brothers and sisters that surround me every day? How can I make them happy too? And when you are sad, he put, like, I think that God couldn't choose a better way to show his love for each one of us when he put his sons and daughters together to help one another. Because at the same time, sometimes you are the happy one, sometimes you are not. And that's time that you need to let you embrace, you know, that brothers and sisters, to seek for their help. And let that his light shine upon you. You know, because he's being an instrument of God in your life. And you need to understand, like, these doors and these windows that God opens for us, they come through people. Sometimes we think that, oh, if I win the lottery, all my problems are solved. This is not the door you should be knocking. That's not the hope that you should be fantasizing in your head. You should be looking, because God is being present by each one of the brothers and sisters that he put on your path and on your way. So it's so important for each one of us to learn with our brothers and sisters. And then Chico says to us, everything that matters in life is our relationships. So sometimes, oh, I'm busy, I have this, I have to clean the house, have a friend need you. Okay, I can watch this later. Try to be more present. Try to live that day like there is no other day like today. If you could do something good today, go there and do it. You know, everybody says when you have kids, oh, it's going to pass like that. Try to enjoy every moment. But it's not enjoying a way that I don't want them to grow, but he will grow in a way that we still be friends, we still be sharing good moments in the future. So we need to nurture these relationships. We need to look them in a way that it needs water, it needs food, it needs the sun, it needs attention, it needs love. So we need to be working ourselves to make our relationships grow around us. Because if you feel lonely, sometimes it's like the plants. You look at the soil. Like if the soil is not properly worked out and everything, it could be. But if you start to go there, step by step, working, they will grow. You know, they will be coming to you. So it's a very important thing that we should bring to ourselves. And for the last, I would like to bring this story. It's a very interesting story. It's this is Amália Domingos Soler. She's a medium from Spain. She was like a Chico Xavier for the Spain people. She's from the 20th century. and she was more like, in North America and even Europe, they have a very culture of psychics, right? But people that look for her was looking for a more deep understanding of life. They're looking for the enlightenment. She would really bring like the spiritual clarifications from that people. And she has this book. This is in Spanish, ASSISI que prueba, pero but in Portuguese they have the title Reencarnação e Vida. They don't have in English yet, if someone wants to translate. So it's there, I'm sorry. And she brings a very interesting story that makes us realize how our, not only the health of our body, but our mental health is connected with everyone around us. She says that she received a letter from a grandfather, and he states in the letter, "Amelia, I need your help, if possible. I have a granddaughter, and she's in a psychiatric hospital for 9 years already. She doesn't talk, she doesn't listen, she's not even able to show any kind of emotion. And she's there. Unfortunately, I'm not an expertise. I'm not able to take care of her, but I feel deeply sad because she's in that state. If you could please make me understand why I feel so sad to see my granddaughter going through that experience. Why I'm feeling so bad about that. I have my family, everybody has trouble, but this one, I'm so connected. And I don't know, I can't be happy seeing my granddaughter like that." And then Amelia listened to this letter, read this letter, and she did what we also should do. She did what we also should do when we have someone asking for help. She prayed. And when she prayed, her spiritual guide came to her and told, "Yeah, this is a very troubled history, Amelia. What happens that in another life, this granddaughter that now can't see, can't talk, can't even show an emotion, she was a very beautiful man, a very charming one, an angel. But he was very mean. She used all his way to talk to people too. He was a thief. He was a very bad person, and he was kind of an artist in Spain. So he did like the kind of thing that he went to a city, he robbed like the whole city and moved to another. And then he went to a city where he met this girl from a good family, and she fell in love with him. And of course, her family told, "He's not suitable for you. We are not going to approve this relationship." And then he told her, "Let's run away." And she did. She was in love. After a while, she realized that he was really not a good person, that he was really a trouble man. But she was very religious. So what she did, she started to pray and go to the church and start to talk with him about Jesus, about good, about the well-behaved that he should be adopted. And then one day he's finishing one of the cities, he's finished to rob and everything, and then he called one of his friends and say, "Okay, tonight we are going to leave the city, you are going there and you're going to kill her." And he says, "But why? She's so good to you." He says, "I can't handle. She's talking too much. I can't handle." And then the guy go and do it. So she dies in this tragic way. A few years after, he also dies in another tragic way. And when she is as a spirit in the spiritual world, she's there, she received the help, and she discovered that he discarnate. Most of us would be like, "Okay, time for revenge," or something. But she loved him so much that she told, "I want to help him. Doesn't matter what kind of relationship we're going to have in another life. I could be his mother, could be his sister, but I want to be by his side until he understands that Jesus and his word is the light that he needs to be living." And then in this life, she was a granddaughter. She was the grandfather, and he was a granddaughter, facing and expiating everything. So in this beautiful moment, you see, he was the grandfather. Sometimes you even think like, oh, he's already in a stage of life that he should be facing that. But she was so connected that he could not be happy with his granddaughter that way. So it's very important for each one of us to think how connected we are. Sometimes we live in Canada and we look like our family in Brazil. Oh, they have so many problems, but I can do anything, I'm here. But sometimes what they need is just someone that really calls and shows that your happiness matters to me too. It's not only about me being happy here in a safe environment. We see Brazil right now. They need so many prayers. We see this polarization of politics, people hating each other in a way that's not supposed to be. Families start to disintegrate because of different point of views. And sometimes you think, oh, I'm so happy that I'm in Canada and I have Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister, but we also need to be praying for them because I need to look to them and really feel like your happiness matters to me. Sometimes it's important that we verbalize this to our loved ones. Doesn't matter where they are, right? And then, to finish, I brought the peace prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi. I was raised in a Catholic family, and this prayer was the one that always moved me the most, because it's not a prayer only about asking, like the Godfather when they say, like, bring to me your kingdom. This one, you're putting yourself that you will, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. You will be the instrument. Where there is hatred, let me show love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born for eternal life. That we could be the instrument of God for each one that crosses our path. Every day we have this thought in our mind. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Denise, for a great lecture. Does anybody has any questions or comments? Denise?
Denise, thank you very much. Very good lecture. I'd like to hear a little bit from you from one thing that keeps popping on my mind, which is you touched very interesting things like emotional development, intellectual development, responsibility, being there for others. So what I'd like to hear more is how do you feel? I mean, when we face situations where, in this case, you want to help, but at the same time you need the other person to take responsibility, right? So you need to find the right balance between not being too rational about it, also letting the people learn by itself, and also giving love at the same time, which is very daunting in a way. It's not that easy. And I don't know, I appreciate it if you can comment a little bit about that, because that idea just kept.
That's one thing that when I say like to seek through prayer, that sometimes I think that even though you are not physically or verbally saying something, through prayer, when you seek sometimes for your understanding of that situation or for that person to find and understand they need, to find this path of love. Like during a prayer, we are sending all the love that we can to someone else. It's the most powerful tool that we have in our free will, because there is this free will thing as well, as you told. Sometimes that person doesn't want, or they see our help, as the guy saw, like she was trying to help him when she's talking about Jesus and trying to make them change his life. But actually, he didn't understand that way. He was understand that she was criticizing him probably, right? So it's very important that we have this connection through the prayer. That's the thing that in our free will, that's the most powerful tool that we can use to help someone else and to show our love to them. And like when I say, you can verbalize, I want to see you happy, your happiness matters to me, but you cannot force yourself, right? But you can verbalize and say that. And sometimes I think that another powerful thing that you can do is also to lead by example. So sometimes we are so concerned about the happiness of the other that we are not doing what we are telling them to do. So it's when we do that also doesn't work, right? So sometimes if you see someone facing a really hard time and you love that person, you want to help, sometimes you need yourself to lead by example as well.
And I think the other way that you can do also to do a transition is maybe start working together. So if you don't know, should I do this for this person or should I let them do, maybe start by working together. Right? It's like especially on a child, okay, so this, I don't know if they can do this task or not, so we're going to start by doing together. And then we build up in them the capacity to eventually do on their own, right? Instead of just go there and do for them, let's help them to build up the capacity to do things. So we start by working together, then eventually people are able to be on their own, right? I think Sandra wants to say something.
Your question is directly to children, right? You towards the children? Was
No,
it
not
Not
necessarily. It's
necessarily.
because this case that you brought is very interesting because she's doing her best, right?
Yeah.
But he also needs to make a
Oh,
decision.
yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, my understanding of Spiritism is that it may work as something to give love and charity, but we need to pay a lot of attention not to be very judgmental, right? Because if
Yeah.
that's wrong, that's wrong, and that's right, and then try not to apply that. So it's I feel this challenge in my life to find the right balance between how to act in general, both to kids and to everyone that surrounds me that I love.
And if you think, sorry, go
I,
ahead.
I would think that the way I do it is to put myself into the other person's shoe, you know? So how I would like to be treated in that case if I didn't have what I have today. Because, you know, sometimes it's very hard when we see something that is so different in another person, or when we see something that is wrong, or we are already judging. You know, we cannot even think about it, but we are already doing it. So, and the way that I see that I could understand the way that I should be treating the other person is respecting myself, respecting where the person is at that moment. Because definitely we are in different places. That's why we are not connecting in that manner of understanding. So if I put myself into somebody else's shoes, you know, if I wore her shoe with everything that she has today, how would I like to be treated? It's the golden rule.
And I think connects a bit with the law of charity as well, that we do the charity by doing the charity. If then how people gonna take it is that like she tried to help, it's his choice to get the help or not, right? It's important that we doing our share. Now if people, how they're gonna use what we're giving to them, then it's up to them, right?
I just want to add something. I think it depends on, first, the relationship with the person. Second, does the person want any help? Is the person looking for anything? Or you're just pointing out things on a person that you see, that person needs help. He's doing so many things so wrong. And everybody does that, including us, when you're thinking, I'm trying to help others. So the point is, are you that close to the person to bring that to their attention? Because if you look at each other here, we're coming here, we're trying to do good. If you look deep, there will be lots to be fixed. So I think each one should look to help themselves first and reach out. It's not to us all the time to reach out to help them. You know, sometimes just looking to ourselves is the best we can do at the moment. I think that's my
Any other?
Very good lecture. She should do more lecture for us and let Joe take care of the kids.
Thank you.
It's a good comment. Any other comments or questions? So we're gonna bring the kids now and we're gonna prepare for the passes, okay? Oh, and I want to thank everybody on the internet with us, and I hope to see you again next Sunday. Thank you. No?